So many of us in our life, in our childhood, are taught who to be and who we should be, and who we are is never nurtured, and we never get to know that person, right? And as a result, when it comes time to decide what we want for our lives, we place trust in other people rather than ourselves. After all, like, how can you trust somebody that you don't even know? You know? If you're so alienated from yourself when it comes to deciding things, you're going to look to other people. Duh. It's and I created my own world. Welcome to my new and improved series, I, where I talk about my emotional and spiritual journey as an artiste in the hopes of inspiring you. I'm excited because this is my first episode and it's all about trusting yourself and starting new beginnings. So I'm going to get straight into it. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or else there will be consequences. Once I figure out what those consequences are, I'll let you know. You gonna know, because there'll be consequence. Anyway, I'm going to set things up for you real quick before I get into the meat and the potatoes of everything, okay? In this life, we are conditioned to live according to the values of other people rather than in alignment with our authentic selves and our divine purposes as souls. Our environment, life experience, family structure, and the media we consume all shape our understanding of what it means to be a successful, good, attractive person. Those are the things that you have to be validated in society, and everybody wants to feel loved, okay? The choices we make in life, whether big or small, are influenced by the conditioning that we have received, and it's driven by more so a desire to feel safe and validated than true authenticity. A lot of this, I feel like, happens subconsciously and we're not even aware of it. We just do what we've always done and what has always been done. So many of us in our life, in our childhood, are taught who to be and who we should be, and who we are is never nurtured, and we never get to know that person, right? And as a result, when it comes time to decide what we want for our lives, we place trust in other people rather than ourselves. After all, like, how can you trust somebody that you don't even know? You know? If you're so alienated from yourself when it comes to deciding things, you're going to look to other people. Duh. Right? Okay? And that is the problem. That is the major issue. We live in this constant state of disconnection and alienation from our true selves, from our own being, from our own souls. And disconnected from ourselves, this causes us to engage with everything in the world in an artificial and inauthentic way. Consequently, for one, we never really truly connect with things, and you can feel this state of feeling numb and disconnected. That's one. And then consequently, right, we end up building lives that we truly really don't like. I would say that this was definitely the case for me. I made choices based on what I thought I should do rather than what I wanted. I was really desperate just to feel safe and like I had my life together. Okay, so I'm back. This is the editing me because I accidentally deleted an entire clip, so I have to come back. But where I was is that from the ages of like 18, 19, I was doing all the things I thought a girl that age should do. I was trying to hit my developmental marks, so to speak, right? So I made sure, I said I have to go to college. I said I have to pick a quote-unquote stable career. I can't do art. I have to get a boyfriend, because up until that point, like 18, I had never had a boyfriend. So I thought, you know, let me add that to my shopping cart. And I said to myself, you need more friends because you don't have enough friends. Because up until that point, I was a loner. Like, I was always off to myself. Again, I wasn't making choices based on what I wanted. I was making choices on like what I thought I should be doing based on society's definition of success, child. So when it came to my relationships, platonic or the romantic relationship that I had started out in, I focused on being of service to people and being a pleasurable and enjoyable person to be around. I never really considered if these people were aligned with what I truly wanted for my life, because I was just building a life based on what I thought I should be doing. I just wanted to deeply be a good person. So in these relationships, I was always pouring into them, listening to them, spiritually uplifting them, just making them feel seen and heard. And I was a great friend. And these people that I was creating these bonds with felt super close to me, and I never felt as close to them. And I would often wonder why I felt that way and even feel guilty. But I realized it was because I was engaging with them in an inauthentic way. But I realized this retrospectively. Needless to say, right, to sort of bring it home, I realized that I wasn't being a good person in doing emotional labor in these relationships, or emotionally giving of myself in these relationships. I wasn't being selfish. I wasn't being selfless. I wasn't being kind. I wasn't being good. I was using emotional labor as a means to feel safe and escape myself, because my own inner world was so tumultuous. I took refuge in being involved in other people's lives and leaving myself behind. Being a part of their world was just so much peaceful, quote unquote peaceful, than being in my own. Okay? So in these relationships, I was putting attachment over authenticity, and my need to be good over what I wanted. And I had this need to be good just because of how I was raised. I was raised in a home where I was taught to believe that everything that was me was wrong. I carried that same mindset of putting attachment over authenticity when it came on to picking my career. I gave up on being an artist entirely, which is something I have always wanted to do since I was a wee little pickney. Since I was a wee little pickney, I was always in my room singing and writing songs. If you ask my family, they'll say I sing all the time. But I completely abandoned that entirely because I wanted to pursue what felt like a more quote unquote stable path. I was not secure and safe in choosing what I wanted to choose for my life because I lived in a constant state of disconnection from who I was. So it just felt safer to travel along a path that was already well traveled than forge my own. This misalignment between my true purpose as a soul and my outer reality in terms of the relationships I was creating and the career I was picking and how even I was interacting with my family at that time in a very inauthentic way, it created a constant state of anxiety and depression. I felt paralyzed, like I could never truly get anything done or move forward because I was in a constant state of feeling overwhelmed about my decisions. I felt so unsure about what I was doing. Even though I was making these decisions to feel more safe, I still didn't even feel safe in the decisions. When the relationship I was in dissolved, and that was my first relationship, I did a great deal of like reckoning and reflection whilst I was healing, and I gained a lot of understanding. I realized that I had been betraying myself my entire life in every single aspect. And I realized that doing that does not guarantee you safety. It only gives you this artificial sense of comfort, this illusion of comfort. And your pain is only exacerbated by settling for an illusion. So, after a lot of work and reflection and pouring into myself through reading scripture, through meditating, through praying, through journaling, through crying, through going to therapy, I was able to completely flip my mindset around, and I started to trust myself, right? Because I realized trusting in other people is not getting me anything. Like, here I am heartbroken. Here I am unhappy with my life. Trusting the values and opinions of other people is not getting me anywhere. So I started to trust myself, and I put my authenticity first. You know, I started to reevaluate a lot of the friendships I had, and I stepped away from all of them. I committed to being an artist because that's what I want to do. I committed to being a singer and a songwriter. The marriage is actually on my YouTube. I finally centered my own voice because that's something I was so alienated from. I centered my own vision, not only when it came to my life, but when it came to my artistry. I started off creating content about things that I enjoyed, whether that be spirituality or me making like a fashion video. I even worked up the courage to sing for the first time publicly at my great-grandmother's funeral in front of my entire extended family, whom all of which I did not know. And I killed that performance. Ooh, maybe it's not appropriate to say killed, but I did a great job honoring my great-grandmother, and I received a lot of compliments on how great I did. Needless to say, because I made these changes, those changes constituted new beginnings, and I didn't even realize this. I was on the phone with my aunt, actually, basically talking about all the stuff that I was doing, and the fact I'm also starting a clothing brand, which I didn't mention. Look at me, so busy. But I'm mentioning all this stuff to her, and she was saying to me like, oh, you're starting over. And I'm like, yeah, I am starting over. I didn't realize that I was, but by making different choices, by making the choice of being my authentic self and trusting myself and trusting my facilities and trusting myself to show up for myself. I'm saying myself a lot, but it is I and I am starting new beginnings, and it is beautiful. And I told this story to hopefully inspire you, to let you know that this is your life and you can take control and do the things that make you happy, that align with your purpose. And you create the change. And it starts up here. It starts with learning to trust yourself. Anyway, I really think I gave y'all a word. Be sure to like, follow, share, subscribe, do all the things, or else there will be hella consequences. If all your accounts, all your Google accounts, what I'm going to need you to do is log into them all respectively and make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're subscribed to me. So follow for more. I'm going to be dropping an episode every week, bro. Every week I'm going to be Miss Consistent, and my name is Samiah, Samaya. Remember the name, remember the face clock. That's it. Also, y'all do not have to call me Samaya Supremacy. The supremacy part is just for me to know that it's okay to exist. Y'all like my dress though? Alright. Also, wait, we gotta do a fit check. Hold on. I said, hold up. I see y'all. My fucking laptop almost fell. Okay. Alright. Y'all see my fit? Do I not look like the belle of the ball? I don't got no shoes on, so shit. Do I not look like the belle of the ball, fam? Do I not look scrumptious? I don't need y'all opinion. Make sure you tune in next week. Bye.